Urban Conquest, and this week's new 40K releases are here.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer from SpikyBits.com, and this week we have three 40K releases, one Reeboks Death Guard and paint set, where they we'll break it down a little bit, but there's a little bit of savings here, and it ain't too bad. If you've been looking for an excuse to kind of pick up some Death Guard, this might be the way to go. This is $35 US, and then we got the Manufactorum, continuing on the Sector Imperialis kind of line, I guess, of terrain. This is features two sprues here from the Derelict Manufactorum, or Factorum, that came out right around the time Kill Team, or actually no, that was an expansion. I want to say that was around Rogue Trader time. I can't exactly remember, but that box set was $100 and is still available over on Games Workshop, where you get a couple of sprues from the Ferrotonic in the Alchemite stack and all that stuff. But this one's $60 US this week. And then, of course, Urban Conquest, $100 campaign expansion supplement, whatever you want to call it, for the game itself. I don't really want to spend a whole bunch of time on the terrain here, but real quick, it's going to be a three sprue set. I thought it was a two sprue set. I have misspoke, because there's only two pictures listed on their site. So there you go. You've got the same exact sprue, like I said, that came with the Derelict Manufactorum or Factorum. I forget which the exact description is of the title. So all of this cool new Mechanicum style terrain, these looks like some sort of like factory up and down chompy things. If this was a Nintendo game, you would be trying to get through here and they'd be going chonk 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 chonk. Now again, these kits are made in China. They're a little bit thicker, but the details getting better. I mean, bulkheads, all the vents and everything, they're pretty good. I mean, you can't really complain. I mean, obviously we want the crispest, most dopest detail, but for the price point and for what you get, I feel like it's not that bad of a deal as far as, you know, detail wise and stuff. Now, I guess I should put the light over this a little bit. Sometimes it glares off the box set there, but here you can see the kind of the ruin sections that they highlighted. I think when Rogue Trader came out, these are kind of a take on the normal 3-story or 3-section 6-inch wall that are obviously available now with the new Kill Team Imperialis terrain, and some ruined kind of flooring sections there. And then you remember how they all kind of lock together using those little grid works right there. So overall, it's if you have existing terrain, probably exactly as the description says on Games Workshop site. If you have existing terrain, this is a nice little sprues to kind of mix it up. So if you haven't assembled anything yet, then this might be a good little pickup for $60. Not a bad deal, but again, you can get more additional sprues for $100 with the other configuration in the Derelict Manufactorum. From a new hobbyist standpoint, and probably a veteran standpoint, if you want to pick up a new army, perhaps Death Guard, there are multiples of these paint sets out there actually, so make sure you check G-Dub's site. If this is something that interests you, might be the first time seeing it, this is actually a solid value, because not only do you get some models in here, but you get the full-size pots of paint, which, as we saw, just went up to $4.55 each, well, in February 4th of 2019, but whatever. Might as well be now, and it's close enough, right? So I like this kit because it shows you the guide, the definitive guide on how to paint it, right? And then you can kind of take it to the next level with some other detail work and the wash and stuff. But when you pull it out, let's see, which way does this open? You're gonna notice that it comes with a nice handy little tray, the bases, the models themselves. Now this is the ETB kit of Plague Marines that sells for, or Death Guard that sells for $15 already. So this already is $15. You get a brush, you get 6 paints, and as we know, these are almost $5 each. So the math on it already says, hey, this is a good deal. If you get it at discount at your local game store, even better deal. So it's got everything you need, a nice little tray. You got some mixing space right there for your paints. Of course, you get all the bases and everything you need. There just really isn't a guide on how to put, oh yeah, there it is, and how to put them together. So everything you need right in here. This would make a great gift, or again, if you just want to pick up a couple models and the paints you need to paint them to try out a new army, I could see the value in this. I think it's solid, and I think it's a great recommendation. If you know somebody new getting into it, make sure you let them know about these. And of course, I wouldn't be doing my job unless I also mentioned that there's a ton of other great paint ranges out there for the tabletop hobby as well, many of which you can see how to use and our reviews and different things here on the channel. So always, you know, don't settle with any one paint. I use a myriad of paint, majority of which are Army painter now, but I still use all my Citadels, Reaper paints, so many different paints, Vallejos. I'm literally looking over here trying to know what P3. So we've got a lot of different paints. There's paint. There's high profit margin in paint. Who would have figured? Jumping into Urban Conquest. Now this is a very interesting product from Games Workshop. Now when I got the box, truth be told, I thought this thing was going to weigh a ton, but it's actually pretty light. And there's a reason for that, because there isn't that much, you know, stuff in here, and the sprues are kind of negligible as far as, you know, actual length and girth and weight and everything like that. Model-wise, it's going to come with some Sector Imperialis terrain to kind of go in with, you know, all the ruins and stuff that they've been coming out with. But also a kind of a redo on the objective set, where we have seen this little laboratory table and this little antenna thing. We've seen something like this electro field in the old Blackreach box from way back in, or it wasn't even Blackreach. No, it was the Battle for McCrag way back in the day, 2005. I want to say, give or take. Yeah, I want to almost say 2005. That was actually a feature, so they brought that back, which is kind of nice to see. Some new ammo crates, some sort of force field generator relic thing, you know, enshrined bony arm of insert fallen hero here. So there's some really solid miniatures in here to go along with the content. Now, outside of all this, kind of a macro level look at what Games Workshop's been doing, or may not be doing, but from an observer's standpoint, they've been putting more of an emphasis on the actual content of the boxes. We first started seeing it around Necromunda, then we started seeing it with other releases like Speed Freaks for Orcs, and things like that, where you're actually Titanicus, even you can make the argument, because you don't need as many models, so you're kind of paying more for the rules content and such. So they've started to put more of an emphasis on things like this, which is really cool to see, because sometimes I feel like playing some of the starter box games like Calth and stuff was a really good game. And as we can see with the successes of things like Warhammer Underworlds, their content is solid. But sometimes it's overshadowed by the figures and the miniatures that come in there, and the folks looking for the bundle deals and stuff. So that being said, I don't know. I don't have a cat in this fight. I don't know which one's better for them. Obviously, they know what makes them the money. But with the recent actions, kind of taking all those starter boxes down from the site and raising the prices on Start Collecting, I'm not sure if they have the factory capacity to keep putting out all these sprues, whereas stuff like this is a little bit easier perhaps for them to manufacture. It's just printing, and all this is technically, it's designed in the UK, but it was made in China, so they don't even have to worry about bringing on that second factory in Nottingham online to produce things like this, when they can literally just port it out and have it come back, ship it out from the warehouse, and they're good. Just in time shipping fulfillment, it's a thing. Okay, let's get to the actual review. I know that was heavy-handed and or long-winded rather, and it might not be something that you were on board with just coming into this video, but I felt like it needed to be said, because people are going to notice the shift, and it's happening. It's been we're about a year into it, so it's definitely worth mentioning. Now this box, it has a lot of material in it. It's got the miniatures, and it's got all these cards, this map, this book, 97-page book, and some reusable stickers. But that's really kind of it. It's really kind of it. But that being said, it's all very GW always puts out a good product, very well produced. Over the years, they have figured out that, hey, we need to put these little poster inserts in here to kind of protect our product. Plus, it gives folks something to kind of hang on their wall and be, you know, kind of part of the whole like narrative and things. They also put in bubble wrap where it's necessary to protect the content you're actually paying for underneath it from these sprues, because these sprues are big, they're jagged, they're going to dig into that, and if you're trying to get this rule book and this map, you don't want it getting all dinged up, right? So that I just wanted to show you real quick, and we're going to take a closer look at these here in a second. As I show it to you, here's the vinyl kind of mat, almost reminds me of a shower curtain. Well, mostly because it's in protective plastic. Then you've got the book, the adhesive stickers, and all the cards right there. So you've been waiting for the actual Urban Conquest review. This is the part you want to listen to. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the terrain real quick. And like I said, it's a bigger China kind of, you know, stuff we've seen in the past. It all has pretty good detail these days. They seem to have gotten the recipe right. You can see individual grains of dirt and stuff in there, you know, nice little divots and things, and even the shield has a little bit of texture to it, but don't prime it too heavy. It may blink and it will go away. But overall, I wouldn't see any problems to hobbying on anything like this. And then here's, this is the other one here where it's got a sewer cover and kind of like another little pile of rubble statue that looks like a two-part statue. Yeah, it locks together right there, and it's got the little indents there, little rail system to kind of lock in. And if you have any problems with that stuff not getting it to fit, you can always use a little bit of layout plastic putty and really kind of fill those gaps, so to speak. And then here is some of your objectives. You can see that all goes together pretty well. These are, for the most part, two-part little lid ammo crates right there. Very different than what comes in the armored containers, which I thought were kind of similar to what they were. These little force field generator things, they're a little bit taller than the old ones from the old Battle for McCrag. I think they came up to about here, so they're a little bit bigger if you remember the old school ones. These are definitely wider and girthier, so to speak. And then you've got the shrine and the little robot treads right there. So nice, neat little pieces of terrain and objectives for your games. And now we get to the meat and potatoes of what actually comes in this box set. As you can see, you get the manual, some stickers, like we said, and all sorts of manner of cards. And we'll talk more about these cards here in a second as I give you kind of a brief overview of how Urban Conquest kind of plays. And if you are familiar with the Cities of Death, or the City Fight Codex from 2001, it's actually very, very strikingly similar to how that played in that book way back in the day. If you ever played in a voguing campaign, you will also notice that. So here's your basic items that are coming in this, as well as these reusable stickers here, which, I don't know, I didn't try to peel one off, but they're very easy. It's almost like it's a static cling, actually. I bet you it's a static. But either way, they're reusable, and they will allow you to keep track of each player's things. Now, this supports 4 different players here with the different colors, but I suppose maybe with a little bit of work, you could kind of support more players, perhaps. It's really hard to say. Also included, and something that I very much approve of, is the shower curtain map, the shower curtain campaign map. But don't let my funny name of this fool you. This is actually very well thought out. It's sturdy. I actually tried to rip it a couple of times with just, like, you know, pretending wear and tear. You know, let's be honest, some gamers don't have the skinniest digits to try to get cards in here and things. So I just wanted to make sure that it could support a little bit of wear and tear. If you're going to spend $100 on this box set, you don't want something that's just going to kind of tear apart. It looks to be made of pretty good quality vinyl, and I don't anticipate anything like that happening. Another thing I really like about this too is it's got the holes in it, so you could actually tack this up to a wall with either thumbtacks or, you know, normal just finishing nails or something like that, and it can be folded and kind of put away just like it was in this box. Now, this is a 26 by 16 inch map right here, so it's not exactly small, but it's kind of like poster size if you turn it like long ways, but you got to have it horizontal, so to speak. Now, we'll show you what all these spots are for, but basically this is to keep track of players, like your player card right here, which we showed you, and then you can have your sticker on that, and then you can have different locations. You're going to have a random event that changes each week, and then also your strategic based on the week's mission will be kind of set. Then you can keep track of your resources over here, as well as your overall campaign points. Glory points reset in between each campaign round, so to speak. So actually winning really just kind of, besides giving you overall campaign points, the actual points for air quotes winning just kind of give you a priority in each week's kind of in between kind of game. And I know what you're thinking at this point. It's $100. It comes with a shower curtain, some stickers, some terrain. Like, shoot me straight. Like, how dope is this? Do I need this in my life? And the answer is, well, we'll just kind of break it down for you here. So this is the rulebook itself for running Urban Conquest, and it's got a lot of content in here. That's 100% for sure. There's a lot of fluff and story and battles and things that are happening in Vigilus, and like some really dope larger pictures here showing a lot of things. Now, I looked through a lot of these. I didn't really see any new models or any spoilers or anything like that, but the actual rules themselves, it's there's not a whole lot in here as far as rules go. You kind of just have about six pages or so, and then it just goes into the missions. Now, like I said, if you had the Cities of Death Codex from 2001, you will definitely recognize a lot of this stuff in here. As a matter of fact, if you saw our article, as soon as this picture went live, this is the Vogan map, believe it or not. They just kind of photoshopped it, they turned it, they photoshopped it, and I forget which way they turned it, but if you look at the old Vogan map, actually, this is roughly the same way, give or take. Yeah, I believe now that I've turned it. So this is the way it sits when you hang it, but if you turn it this way, this was the way that the old Vogan map actually sat and had all the different locations named and things like that. You can check that article out over on the site. And it plays very, very similar to the old Vogan. They have added a few things in here, which I do like. They spent a lot of time on here, so don't let the 8 pages kind of fool you, so to speak. So long story short, each card has a specific significance, and you seed the map instead of playing for those locations like I talked about that were actually physically on that map. You seed the map in one of 3 ways here for whichever campaign you want to do. You want to do Urban Conquest? Hey, and you got 4 players, you seed the map this way, and then there's rules for taking territories from each other, very similar to like in Vogan. So you're not playing for like, you know, the Imperial Palace, because the whole point was leading up to the campaign to the Imperial Palace, and you would take it over and you had to have like 12 glory points or something, I forget what. It was just ridiculous. But it was super fun. This is completely different, and they have 3 different ways to play, and you just kind of set it up like this. Each of the locations will have a resource value, which is going to give you the ability to buy like some of these cards and stuff here, these strategic resource cards, which then in turn can allow you to fortify your districts, install comms arrays, which give you even more strategic value, or establish an outpost, or you can raise your area, your terrain, so if people, like, nobody can have it, if you can't have it, nobody can have it, which is obviously of strategic importance. Another cool thing about these particular campaigns, now remember, this is going to go for like a week, a month, or excuse me, a month, or 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever you want it to do. Well, there's only 3 different strategic goals, and each one of those lines up with a specific mission right there. But each week there will be a random event. So you're never going to play the same, between all of these locations and all of these little variables right here. You're never going to play the same kind of campaign system twice, which is really neat. So they go into all that and how it all works right here. But long story short, I just kind of told it to you how it works. Once you have all of that stuff set up, pick your colors, you set up your map, you can keep track of your glory and your strategic points right here. Actually winning, like I said, really just gives you advantages. Your glory points really just give you advantages in determining initiative over here, this is all very similar to the Vogan campaign as well. And then you can spend strategy points to get those cards to actually play stuff. In game, you can play command points to get a whole bunch of stratagems that are actually back here as well. There's a whole bunch of those are tactical. So there is tactical objectives if you're playing Maelstrom that you can use. They didn't come out with a card deck for it, but there's a whole bunch of stratagems in here too. And then all your missions and everything are in here. And then of course you've got the abridged version of the Cities of Death subset of rules in here. You got the battlefield terrain, how all the battlefield terrain works. This was in chapter approved. So there's a lot of additional content that's in here that may or may not be new. You may have been exposed to it at some point. And then there's a quick reference in the back. So content-wise, it's solid. The playstyle, while different from what we originally saw in the Cities of Death and Vogan, way back at the turn of the millennium, well, it's different, but it's refreshed, and I think it would solve a lot of the problems that we had with the Vogan campaign back in the day, and just in the fact that it's kind of random, and also you don't have to worry about playing for certain locations. There was a lot of things where you had to have specific terrain, which you still kind of do, and they do mention that in a couple of instances for some of the larger special locations, so to speak, right here. And those are all notated with the little fast attack kind of swords right there. That hey stupids, this is a special location. Something cool is happening here. So overall, I think it is a very solid refresh of the old Cities of Death or City Fight Codex, and it has a lot of Cities of Death rules in here. We saw that back in the early 2000 teens. And also, you know, we just saw the new one here in a recent supplement as well. So that's really cool to see. They kind of pulled it all together, refreshed it, gave us some really cool game aids, and the shower curtain map, which I call it a shower curtain map, but I definitely think it's pretty neat and very innovative and a low cost, high durability solution for a campaign map, and something that we kind of hadn't seen from Games Workshop too. So overall, I think the content's solid. I think that it's a very solid effort on Games Workshop to kind of revamp and come up with a campaign system. Now, not everybody's going to buy this in your gaming group. It obviously supports 4 people, so you only need to buy 1. Stores perhaps could make additional sets of stickers and run it in a larger scale kind of event, and maybe scale down some of these like starting positions when it comes to this, like maybe just do straight chaos, or maybe perhaps do little bastions here of people, kind of figure out how to seed it. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't put much thought into it, but I could see where it could support up to maybe 8 people. You could almost double it, but I don't think going past 8 people would be a good idea for this. So it's not for everybody. And I think that's why it's priced the way it is, because they have to mitigate the fact that not everybody's going to buy this content because it supports 4 people. So perhaps they put a premium on the content itself, like we saw with Necromunda, like we saw with Speed Freaks, and like we're beginning to see with more and more of their content coming out, including, you know, like Warhammer Underworlds and things like that. So overall, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I don't think this particular expansion will be for everybody. While neat and very forward thinking and very innovative, I don't think it's for everybody. But then again, if you're really into campaigns and narrative play, this is probably for you and your group right here. So again, I'm Robbie B. Thank you very much for listening to my review of all of this week's new 40K releases, including the Urban Conquest, a refresh, a retake of the old City Fight Codex from 2001. I couldn't find my old City Fight Codex. I'm very sad. I do remember it like it was yesterday, but I don't have it to show you, unfortunately. But you can still find them on eBay, I'm sure. There's always the old books on there. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.
Spiky bits.